Hey everyone, and welcome back to our podcast. It's Healthy Podcast. So, today I want to talk about the simplest and the most brutally honest question you can ask about any diet. Can you do it for 30 years? Not 30 days, not 30 weeks. 30 years. Because your body doesn't care about your 6 week challenge. It cares about your patterns, habits, the things you repeat without fighting yourself. It's just simple because along the way, from all my clients, along the way, so in these 20 years since I've been doing this, I've been in this industry, health and wellness industry, especially as personal trainer. Once in a while, I had uh, I had clients coming towards me and say, "Hey, Andre, what do you think about this diet?" There are studies about, they've done I don't know how many studies and so on so forth. And my answer was always like that. I was asking the person, can you do it for 30 years? I don't care about the benefits they tested and they brought it up and so on. Can you do it for 30 years? A person in your position, can you do it for 30 years? The problem with the diets, especially when they are making studies with them, they are making studies on a very small number of people. Those people have some certain conditions, and those certain conditions do not apply for all people around the world. So even with, for example, vegetarian or Mediterranean, or I don't know eh, eh, what is in this world. But for example, I don't know, it was a famous book, study in China or something like that. I'm not sure exactly. I have to look for it and explain how people from China eating more veggies and so on. And actually, if you start analyzing China, okay, on different sections of China, they have different ways of eating because depends on the climate, depends on the soil, depends on the food that is there, if it's imported, if it's exported, and so on. The same applies for America, the same applies for Antarctica, the same applies for Canada, the same applies for Greece, and so on. Like, you can't have um, a diet that made studies on it apply for everyone. That's why it's very important. This is one aspect, but then you have to think about the other aspects. And the other aspects is, for example, maybe you are married, maybe you have 4 kids, maybe you have 10 kids, maybe you have just 1 kid, maybe you have animals, maybe you have, I don't know, a very complicated career, a very high career, a very you are very busy for your career as a manager, or as a CEO. You travel a lot. Maybe you are a businessman, person, woman, and also you deal with stress, you deal with ongoing things, you eat a lot outside. So you can't think that you can take a diet and that someone made studies on them and apply into your life, because all those things that I mentioned about career and family, this can happen, that these things can stretch on a period of 30 years, for example, and you have changes and maybe losses of loved ones, you have periods of grieving, you have periods of sadness, stress, happiness, uh, angry, uh, and many other things. And you can't keep up with that diet. If it's a diet that you think will give you a fast result, that's another discussion. Because, yeah, people right now, these days, they are thinking about diets like they are pills, So for example, if they gain weight like 5 kilograms or 10 kilograms, they are start searching on the internet about diets that can strip away very fast all that weight. So they are considering like pills. It's another discussion that. So why 30 years? Well, the 30 years test forces you to strip away the nonsense we all get sucked into. What I just said. Like detoxes, color coded meal plans, 1200 calories perfection, hyper specific food rules invented by someone who sells supplements. When when you ask, can I do, can I, when you ask this question, when you ask yourself this question, can I do this for 30 years? You see instantly what's real and what's performative, because that's the logic behind. That's the logic, because when you think about 30 years, you think that, oh, maybe I'll have a kid, maybe I'll have a family, maybe I'll have a husband, maybe I'll have animals, maybe I'll have, I don't know, my mom will pass away, maybe my friends, maybe something will happen with me, maybe I'm gonna be so high in my career that I don't know, I have to spend mm, maybe 12 hours at the office, and maybe there's a lot will be a lot of stress, and maybe I have to buy a house, I have to pay my mortgage, I have to pay bills, and there are so many things that you can think when you stretch yourself, when you ask this question, if you can do it on 30 years. There are so many things that can happen in 30 years, and put your mind into perspective in thinking. So uh, it's just because anything that relies on willpower, discipline, or forcing your personality into a shape it doesn't naturally fit, everything will collapse the moment your life gets busy, messy, or unpredictable. And it's true. And it's true. And eventually, if you think about it, will be work, kids, stress, travel, holidays, illness, chaos, and so many things. The things that I already mentioned about. So for example, thinking think about this. Like I'm doing intermittent fasting because I don't know, my neighbor did it, and he lost 10 kilograms in one day or 1 week or so on. But when you actually ask him how did he feel, he will tell you, mate, I was terrible. Like I had headaches, like I couldn't concentrate at work. Like for 1 week, I had so much headings like in the morning, because I've done fasting in the morning. And when you hear that, do you really want that for the rest of your life? For the rest of for 30 years? Probably you will say, yeah, but will not be like that, because your body will adjust, and with time, okay, so you will be through this pain, you'll go through this pain of headings and so on, around, let's say, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, okay, and then everything becomes a normality for you. Okay, what about when you have kids, and you have to eat with them at the table in the morning, because the doctors will say, and you know for sure the kid will not be able to do fasting, and you have to eat with him at the table because he wants you. You need to create that connection, and so on and so forth. Or you have friends, you travel, you have breakfast with your business partners, you have all of these things. What you gonna do? You're gonna say to everyone like, no, I'm doing fasting, that's my diet, I'm doing fasting and I'm not eating. It's not working like that. Ain't gonna ain't gonna do it. Another example, I'm counting every calorie for 30 years, every meal, every snack, every dinner out. Your brain will be revolted, and you'll say, yeah, but I'm using apps. Okay, so you'll be a weirdo trying to scan every single label of every single product that you eat, or taking a picture of every meal that you eat, and start typing on your phone, like to see how many calories you eat. Is not possible this is. It's crazy to think that you can keep it like this. The same example, I'm giving the same example, like you'll have kids in one day, okay, and involuntarily you'll eat with them, or you'll be like in a hurry because you have to prepare him for school, and you're gonna eat a little bit, you'll forget to scan it, you'll have to take him, drive him to school, leave it over there, go to the job, and you have many other responsibilities over there, especially if you are very high on the ladder of your career, and so many things, and you start forgetting to take pictures. Like it's that's why it's crazy to think that it's yeah, I'm gonna do that diet. I'm gonna choose that diet because I heard about those studies, because it's good and so on. So that's the thing. Uh, but here's the twist, and here's what it's crazy, because most people already know what their 30-year diet is. And it's not exotic, it's not trending, it's not something your neighbor is bragging about. uh, is the way of eating, like, about common sense. Apply the common sense when you eat, and you know that, and everyone knows that. Like, it's about common sense. And the real question isn't about diet, it's about identity. So, for example, a diet you can follow for 30 years is one that aligns with who you want to become. Okay? Think about that. So, for example, you are not trying to eat like a bodybuilder or like a fitness influencer or someone who prepared 28 meals on a Sunday for the next week. Obviously, you don't want that because you don't want to become one of that. Okay? So, you are trying to eat like the healthiest version of yourself in the future. The version that doesn't need a program or diets to know what, when to eat, and when to stop, which is also important. So the real question becomes, does this way of eating fit the life I want to live, not just the body I want right now, which is very important. Does this way of eating fit the life I want to live, not just the body I want right now? And this, like, summarize the things that I said earlier. Okay, because right now people are seeing diets that people are making studies about them, like pills. Okay, if this happens, I'm gonna do this diet, I'm gonna lose 10, 20 kilograms, perfect, then I can get back to my old routine where I eat whatever I want whenever I want, I gain extra weight again, and then is no problem, I have the pill right here. So that's 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 a very interesting subject. And the other question is how to find your 30-year diet. Here's a simple framework that works with real people. What foods are about common sense is very interesting. Okay, and usually is about what nature gives us: nuts, seeds, fruits, veggies, meats, eggs, fish, dairy products. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Nothing less. What eating schedule aligns with your actual life? So, in my opinion, okay, and what I recommend to my clients, and what I recommended along the way to my clients, was very simple. Eat breakfast, snack at 10, lunch, snack at 3, and then again dinner at 6. That's all. You stop at 6. You stop at 6, and that's all. You have a dinner outside. You have to eat a lot um, at restaurants because you have meetings. You need to go over there. Perfect, 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 perfect is not a problem whatsoever. When you go to this kind of meetings or dinners, try to ask when you order food, try to ask the waiter, okay, to decrease the quantity of carbs. Is just so important. Add more veggies, but decrease the quantity of the carbs. That's the main problem over there. And if you look around, if you can ask ChatGPT, the price for the protein is much more expensive than the carbs. So restaurants, when they try to make, like normal restaurants, when they try to make profit, they will add a lot of carbs, which will make you feel full, but less protein because it's expensive. Even if it's fish, dairy products, meat, whatever. This is what happens. So they can make more money. That's why you have to tell when you choose the meal, okay, tell the waitress, waiter, to decrease the quantity of the carbs from that portion and increase the quantity of veggies. That's all. That's what you need to do. That's all. Nothing less, nothing more. And the other thing is, after you have your dinner, don't go to sleep straight away. Don't go home and lay in bed straight away, okay? Leave a gap of 2 hours. If you can, leave a gap of 2 hours. Don't drink anything during the meal, okay? If it's one in a week or every 2 3 weeks or per month, it's fine, okay, go ahead, crack on. It happens, okay, it's not a problem. But if you have like daily things, daily meetings like this, okay, try to avoid drinking any liquids during the meal. Okay, you can have a sip, but don't drink with the meal. Leave leave your stomach and the entire process, the digestion system, let it work as it is. If you drink anything, any liquid, even water during your meal, you just make it harder for your digestion system to work properly. That's the thing. If you can keep this schedule, perfect. If you are a nurse and you work, I don't know, you have a night shift, try to change the same schedule, try to change it from the moment you wake up. Because for example, if you are a doctor or a nurse and you have a night shift, and your night shift starts for example at 6 p.m. and finishes at 6 a.m. or something like that crazy, and at 6 a.m., okay, you have to go home, you go to sleep, probably you'll sleep 8 hours. I don't think so. Probably you're gonna wake up at 1 p.m. Okay, after you wake up, okay, drink water, have your breakfast, the same thing, the same routine, okay, and leave a big gap, um, with no meals. Like the moment you go to bed, before going to bed, have at least 2 hours since you had your last meal. So that's all. You just change that because it's normal. I know everyone has like crazy, crazy, crazy jobs. So you need to adapt, but don't destroy your body, even if you have crazy shifts. What meals do you naturally gravitate towards when you are not dieting? So look, depends on the emotions of every single person in the period of his life, but eating healthy should be eating clean, like I said, using common sense, like nuts, seeds, fruits, veggies, meat, eggs, fish, dairy products should be should be the main ones. So this is what I want to say in this episode about diets. This is the main question. Ask yourself, when you think about a diet, ask yourself, if I can do it for 30 years, if I can hold it for 30 years, practice this diet for 30 years. This is the most important. And actually ask yourself, if you really 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 ask yourself, you're gonna envision, you can vision your 30 years, like all the things that may happen in your life, and all the transformations, and all the comes and goes in your life, and so on. If you think about it, and the answer is no, that means it's not it's not the diet that you want. It's not. And also, what do you want to accomplish with that diet? What do you really want? Because the person in 30 years, if the person wants only to be fit and healthy and have great stamina and so on, energy, they will realize that the diet they need to have is just common sense, like few ingredients, having a meal schedule, very nice, very adaptable, like they can adapt that schedule for whatever is coming into their life. So yeah, it's that's the way it is with diets. And don't try to think about diets like pills. Diets are not pills, even if lots of people make studies on them. Don't use them as pills, because at some point it will not work, and you would fuck up so bad your immune system that it will be very hard to get it back, to make it strong again, like would be very 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 bad, very hard. So yeah, that's all for today. See you next time. Bye.